What's going on, travelers? Sam here, back at it again for another video. And in today's video, Hoyo just released the 3.6 banners, and I wanted to give my thoughts on them. So let's get into it. Now, I gotta say, I think these banners overall are pretty solid. Starting with Nahida, obviously everybody knows how cracked Nahida is. She is the queen of all things Dendro. Pretty much, if you want to invest into any Dendro reactions, she is the best character to do so. I made a whole video, which I'll link, where I pretty much discuss her kit, and how she functions. So if you don't have Nahida, I would say she is as close to a must summon in Genshin Impact as you can get. Moving over to Kuki Shinobu, I need this character. I don't have Kuki Shinobu. Ever since Dendro came out, she has become exponentially better. She is one of the best Hyper Bloom carries or Hyper Bloom activators. She's also really good in spread teams. She has really good electro application because she has good AoE. Also, she heals. So I'm really keen to get her because I don't have her. So I might have to, wish on this banner a bit. Moving over to Layla. Layla is really interesting. Obviously, she's got an adorable design. I don't know if she's the strongest character, but I think if you don't have a lot of copies of Diona, and maybe you want to go for Nahida, I think if you got some copies of Layla, she can function really well. She's got a shield built into her kit. She can be a decent little cryo battery for your team. So all in all, I think she's solid. Is she as good as Kuki Shinobu? Absolutely not. But I do think she does satiate a nice little niche. And then unfortunately, Dory, not even really going to talk about Dory. The little genie girl, not very widely used in Genshin Impact at this time, maybe down the road, but usually there's always one character on each banner that's not quite as good as the others. Now moving over, obviously it's a similar 4 stars, but Nilou is cracked. When Nilou first came out, she was kind of in a weird niche because you didn't really have the Dendro application to make her pop off. Obviously soon after, Nahida came out. So I think if you are a Nilou main and you don't have Nahida, obviously get Nahida. But maybe if you have Nahida already and you want to, invest into Bloom or Exploding Cores, Nilou is amazing for Bloom. She is the Bloom queen. Her Hydro application is amazing. Her kit functions amazingly with Bloom. And I think statistically, I've seen Nahida and Nilou's Exploding Cores DPS is some of the highest in the game just on a per statistical basis. So if you're really interested in consistent DPS, Nilou and Nahida pops off. Now moving over to the weapon banner. Now the weapon banner I actually think is kind of sneaky good. Now you have, I'm just going to call it the key because otherwise I'll butcher it. This is a really solid weapon. Maybe not so solid. So the characters I think it works really well on, obviously Nilou, and then obviously Kuki Shinobu. I think these are the two characters that if you built them, if you have them, it'll pop them off even further. I mean, obviously you gain 20% HP right off the jump, which is good for both Nilou and Kuki Shinobu, and then it just boosts their elemental mastery. Well, both characters are going to be primarily run in Dendro-based teams where elemental mastery is king. So this weapon I think is pretty solid. I think if you're wishing on the weapon banner and you get it, I don't think it would be devastating. Would it move your account as drastically forward as, say, a Staff of Homa or a Mist Splitter? No, probably not. But if you're heavily invested into the Dendro quote-unquote meta, or you see yourself investing into the Dendro meta, I definitely think this weapon works very well. Now moving over to 1,000 Floating Dreams, this weapon I would love to get for my Nahida. Unfortunately, I kind of want to save my primos at this time, but this weapon is really good. Obviously for Nahida, it's got very good support abilities kind of baked into it. Basically based on the types of characters you have in your party, whether they're the same element as the equipping character. So in this case, let's say Nahida. So if you have another Dendro character, it's going to give them elemental mastery. If not, it's going to boost the equipping character's elemental damage. But it also just gives a static boost to elemental mastery of all your other characters in the party. So again, if you're building into the Dendro meta, if you're building into the Hyper Bloom meta or Bloom or Version, this weapon has very good support capability. So I would say both 5 stars out of 5 stars. I would say at least, 4 stars, if that makes sense. So I would give like Thousand Floating Dreams probably like 4.25 stars, and the key like 4 stars out of 5. But moving on over to the rest of the weapons, I think the 4 stars are pretty good. Obviously, Stringless is cracked. Best in slot for, kind of like a Venti that's not DPS based. Obviously, it's good for, a Bloom or Hyper Bloom Fischl or any other bow characters that you want to do, reaction based damage. Zephos Moonlight, really good weapon for Alhaitham or any other sword users that you want to, prioritize around the Dendro meta. And then Sacrificial Fragments, really, really good weapon. Really good on Nahida because you get that, Elemental Mastery substat. Dragon's Bane, pretty solid. I don't really use it that much, but obviously, it can be used on Hu Tao for, vape damage. So it's a solid weapon overall. And then Favonius Greatsword, pretty solid as well. Not very widely used, but I would say that's 4 out of 5 really good 4-star weapons. So all in all, I think the weapon banner is pretty solid from top to bottom. But that's pretty much it. I think this weapon banner is good. I think the 4 stars on the character banners are pretty good as well. I'm very torn myself. I unfortunately already have C2 Nahida. I got really lucky on her first banner. But as I mentioned, I'm desperate to get Kuki Shinobu. I don't have her. I think she would exponentially improve my Hyper Bloom teams because I'm using Fischl, and Fischl doesn't have the best electro application. It's more single target based, and Kuki has a much more AoE based electro application. So I don't know, folks. I don't know, gamers. I'm really torn. I think I might wish on Nahida's banner again, but comment down below. I'm genuinely curious. If you were on the fence, did the 4 stars move the needle for you? Are you going to potentially wish on the weapon banner? But that's pretty much it. I really appreciate all your time. And yeah, please let me know if you're wishing on these banners. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.